Did you know that a lot of ADHD women find themselves in a financial chaos and that it can be explained by a late diagnosis and the fact that they are Gen Xers? Most women find out they have ADHD in their late 30s and early 40s and are part of a generation who experienced shaky economic times as kids and young adults. Job hopping, missed opportunities, burnout, lack of sufficient retirement savings, and carrying debt into retirement are just a few of the professional and financial challenges we face as Gen X ADHDers. Sounds like your reality? This episode breaks it down into small pieces so you can become that person who manages money like a champ and creates a financial reality that matches your aspirations instead of being overwhelmed. Welcome to the show.
Honey, have you seen my keys? Forget it. They're in my hand.
There's more to ADHD than being easily distracted, scattered, or a master procrastinator. Being different is not a disability, and it's about damn time we break free from the shackles of society's labels and stigma. Hey there, I'm Zarina Bouali, a French-Canadian journalist who found out had a uniquely wired brain at 40 and became a certified ADHD coach. This podcast brings forth a different perception of ADHD to help you amplify your brilliance and phenomenally stand out.
Thanks for flying with us. Have a great day.
Ready to blast off?
3, 2, 1.
Welcome aboard. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Phenomenally ADHD podcast. Hope you're doing fantastic. I am so grateful that you're here and hope you are ready to explore ADHD in a way that acknowledges its unique challenges and also recognizes the strengths it comes with. I'm your host, Zarina Bouali, and I'm really honored you're joining me for this week's episode, and I want to thank you for having me on your journey with ADHD. Because this podcast is all about helping you see your brain as being different, not dysfunctional, and to take you beyond just managing ADHD, but thrive with it. I sincerely hope you enjoy our time together and that you leave with a new or different perspective of what life with ADHD can be. As I always say, your ADHD brain is brilliant, not broken. That being said, make sure you hit the follow button of the Phenomenally ADHD podcast to receive a notification when a new episode comes out. Today's topic is one that many ADHDers avoid and feel ashamed of, and it's my hunch that if you're a Gen X, your financial situation doesn't quite match your aspirations yet. In this episode, you'll get key information that explains the financial chaos and instability you might be finding yourself in. Here's an overview of what we'll look at. How a late ADHD diagnosis in Gen X women affects their career and professional life, why our generation is least prepared for retirement, and what you can do to overcome financial struggles. When it comes to money and personal finances, not only are the statistics insane for us, but they are quite alarming. And if we don't do anything to change that, it's a grim financial future we are passing down. We earn 33% less than neurotypicals and have a 50% higher risk of getting fired from our job. That's one of the impacts of having ADHD, and 72% of women think that it is directly linked to the challenges they face with their personal finances. What would change in your life if you could manage your money like a champ, pay bills on time, put an end to impulsive spending, and be financially secure? Take a moment to really connect to that new reality and imagine having peace of mind, all while embracing and thriving with ADHD. You know, there's a lot I am grateful for and appreciate in my life and in life in general, but it hasn't always been that way. For most of my life, I struggled with managing my money and finances, and finding out I had ADHD explained a lot, as I had no idea it impacted my behavior around money. I remember a time where scarcity was all I knew. Fear of lack was deeply rooted, and the main thing I was afraid of was not having enough time and money. Have you ever felt anxious or insecure about money because you were stuck in a vicious cycle, unable to take control of your finances? Money can be challenging for anyone, but the struggles reach new heights with ADHD as lack of executive function skills hinders our ability to manage our finances. And for us Gen X women, it's even worse because most of us spent decades not knowing we had ADHD and have little or nothing to show for our retirement. So I totally get how you feel. For years, the relationship I had with money was pretty toxic, I should say. Loved it when it was around and despised it when it wasn't. My financial situation was out of control, and I was stuck in a vicious cycle, and I didn't know how or if I could get out of it. Like a lot of ADHDers, I didn't really know where my money went, forgot to pay bills on time, and didn't really care about how bad my credit score was, for that matter. I treated money in the most disrespectful way, mainly saw it as being negative, and, I really thought that as humans, well, we'd better be off if it didn't exist. The patterns kept repeating themselves, and it eventually created a lot of resentment until I realized that nothing would change if I kept going down that road. Somehow, the desire of creating a new financial reality became greater than the pain and struggle. It became clear that I needed to do everything in my power to dig myself out of the hole and do it in my unique way of functioning, the ADHD way. Now, I coach ADHDers to harness their unique wiring and work with their brain's natural strengths. By developing efficient money management skills, I help them achieve financial security and peace of mind, all while embracing and thriving with their ADHD traits. Do you want to be that person who manages money like you would never believe you were able to, following your unique way of doing things? Well, I'm here to show you how. As a matter of fact, I'll be offering a free live training soon. During this training, you'll get actionable ADHD-friendly steps to help you stay on track with money tasks, develop the skills to manage your finances without feeling overwhelmed, get a clear understanding of how ADHD traits get in the way, and what actually works with your brain. The next step for you is to register for that free training by clicking the link in the show notes. All right, let's move on and look at some interesting numbers. Research conducted in 2021 found that the prevalence of adult ADHD is 6.76%, with 20 to 25% being diagnosed in adulthood, and women typically aren't diagnosed until their 30s. When combined, Generation X and ADHD enable us to get a clear picture of what led to where we're at and shed some of the guilt and shame. Before we move on to how a late diagnosis in Gen X women affects their career and professional life, here's background information about Generation X, kids born between 1975 and 1980. Teenage girls that identified with Madonna and Cyndi Lauper, who really stood out, who could relate to the characters of the Breakfast Club movie. I sure did. Were deeply moved by E.T. and on the edge of their seat watching Top Gun and Tom Cruise. It's a generation defined by rapid technological and social changes. Gen X is a smaller age generation compared to the baby boomers that precedes it and the millennial that follows it. In 2020, about 7.5 million Canadians were born between 1965 and 1980, and almost half of them are women. The same tangent can be seen in the UK, with roughly 14 million Gen Xers and a little over 7 million are women. There are about 65 million Gen Xers in the United States. Worldwide, Generation X makes up 23% of the global population with 2 billion people. Many elements explain the late diagnosis in Gen X women. During the time when we were children, the diagnostic criteria were heavily skewed towards hyperactive behaviors, which showed up mainly in boys, making it harder to recognize ADHD in individuals without these symptoms. Gen X girls were particularly overlooked because ADHD in females often presents with inattentiveness rather than hyperactivity, leading to a significant underdiagnosis. Consequences for us Gen X women: growing up feeling misunderstood and struggling with undiagnosed symptoms created a pattern of self-blame and issues with self-esteem, as you might have grown up feeling inherently flawed and defective. Women often internalize and have coping mechanisms to compensate for their symptoms, delaying recognition and diagnosis even further. There are also co-occurring conditions, as many individuals with ADHD also experience anxiety and depression. As a matter of fact, 80% of women say that money problems caused by ADHD lead to anxiety. So if you're a Gen X ADHDer or know a woman who is, share this episode with her so she too knows she's not alone and that there's hope for a brighter financial future. As we understand the undeniable consequences of being undiagnosed or getting a late diagnosis as an ADHD woman, it becomes possible to conquer financial chaos. The emotional toll of getting that late diagnosis can be rather conflicting. On one hand, it brings a sense of relief and validation. It helps us understand our past struggles. When I realized the extent to which ADHD contributed to the financial instability I had been in for years, it allowed me to be more compassionate with myself. On the other hand, I was also grieving lost time, reviewing the countless decisions made on impulse in the past that put me at risk financially and created more debt. And because ADHD makes it difficult for us to project ourselves in the future, all this happened without me being conscious of the impact it would have 20, 30 years down the road. Financial literacy wasn't even in my radar back then, and some of us entered the workforce during or after a recession, meaning many of us were unemployed or underemployed. I actually worked in the hotel industry for a few years after graduating from college because there were no jobs available in my field of study. I was in my mid-20s when I was able to find work at the local TV and radio station, earning roughly $7,000 a year. So after taxes and life expenses, there was not much left. Workplace difficulties due to undiagnosed ADHD include job performance, career advancement, and relationship with colleagues. What challenges have you encountered in your job or career that you can tie back to ADHD? My first tip for you today is to take a moment to go back and reflect on your professional journey. You can journal, meditate, create a board with beautiful images, whatever works for you. Acknowledge all that you overcame, but also everything you've accomplished to get where you are today. You can use these questions as prompts. What are you most proud of? What did you learn about yourself? What's the biggest challenge you overcame? What strengths did you harness over the years? As Gen Xers, we may have faced challenges in maintaining steady employment or reaching our professional potential, felt misunderstood or labeled as lazy, unmotivated, or troublemakers, taking a toll on our self-esteem and self-worth. By recognizing the great things you've accomplished, you shift your focus on what matters the most, the life adjustments that you can make, and the new strategies you can put in place to help improve your life with ADHD. However, understanding where we come from will help us make peace with the past, since there's nothing we can do about it anyway. We can only choose where we want to go from here and what we wish to create. That's why, as Gen X women with ADHD, we need to take a good look at our career struggles, as some of us may feel like time is ticking and that there's no time to waste. And you know what? That's true. But what you choose to pay attention to and focus on will either propel you or hold you back. As you connect the dots between the career challenges ADHD creates and your own experience as a Gen X, there's no doubt you'll gain clarity on your present financial situation, as I believe it's all tied together. When it comes to workplace performance and stability, the following ADHD traits actually get in the way: attention and focus, organization and time management, impulsivity. Barriers to attention and focus inhibit your ability to finish tasks, meet deadlines, and avoid making mistakes. As women, and that is actually a challenge I faced countless times when I was an employee, we often find it hard to sustain attention during long meetings or when working on detailed tasks. Organization and time management bring difficulty in prioritizing, resulting in important tasks being neglected or deadlines being missed. That's why, in addition to attention and focus, organization and time management make administrative tasks involved in managing personal finances complicated, as we are easily overwhelmed by the steps involved and we end up procrastinating. As for time blindness, it explains tardiness, extended work hours, or not allocating sufficient time to tasks. If you've ever felt like always trying to catch up, that you need more time and effort than your non-ADHD colleagues, now you know why. On top of that, there's impulsivity. That can affect the decision-making, leading to hasty or poorly thought-out choices and decisions like buying something when you don't really need or can afford. It also has an impact on communication, as blurting things out and interrupting can strain workplace relationships and professional interactions. Do you agree that connecting the dots between ADHD, Generation X, and career struggles is an absolute necessity? Before we continue, I want you to pause for a moment and take a deep breath. Roll your shoulders a few times and let the information sink in, as you may find it a little bit overwhelming. You know, it was just recently that I got inspired to help Gen X ADHDers transform their financial reality. The idea came during a challenge I was participating in, and it was a challenge for aspiring women speakers. A huge community of women entrepreneurs from all over the world on a mission to make a difference in other people's lives. As we were creating our talk, something powerful came as I shared my topic in a hot seat coaching in front of thousands of other participants. They could totally relate to the money chaos a lot of Gen Xers find themselves in, with ADHD explaining part of their financial instability. So take a breather and stick with me, because not only I'm here to show you how to get there, but I'm also here to guide you in a transformational experience. Step 1 is to secure your spot for that free training I just spoke about earlier in that episode, and you can sign up by clicking the link in the show notes. I can't wait to see you there. All right. There's a few more things to cover before we dive into the last 2 key points of this episode: financial struggles and Gen Xers being least prepared for retirement and what to do to change that. A lot of women with ADHD are confronted to underachievement, missing out on promotion or career advancements due to inconsistent performance or the perception of being unreliable. Imposter syndrome can prevent us from pursuing higher level positions or taking on new challenges. Employment and income stability is another challenging area for us. If job hopping is something you can relate to, know that what is actually happening is that you're seeking stimulation. That, of course, can lead to instability in your career path and periods of unemployment or underemployment, affecting, of course, income stability. Job hopping also makes us more vulnerable to chronic stress and burnout from trying to meet workplace demands that can result in leaving jobs prematurely. Next challenging area, income management. A lot of Gen X women with ADHD find themselves in financial instability because inconsistent or irregular income makes budgeting and financial planning more challenging. Without consistent income and effective financial management, many women may find themselves living paycheck to paycheck. It's a no-brainer that those career challenges lead to financial struggles, and there are quite a few. Emotional spending, difficulty delaying gratification, forgetfulness, and organization are some of the financial struggles we face in regards to budgeting and spending. Women with ADHD tend to face difficulty to delay gratification, leading to impulsive purchases rather than saving or budgeting. Managing bills and payments is also difficult because of time blindness. Forgetting to pay bills on time, missing payments, or overdrafts result in late fees, interest charges, and damaged credit scores. Late diagnosis, irregular contributions, or inconsistent saving habits, overwhelm due to complexity, accumulating debt, carrying debt into retirement, avoidance, and financial anxiety are the main struggles when it comes to savings and long-term planning. As mentioned before, many of us Gen X women with ADHD were diagnosed late in life, which often means we spent years without effective strategies for financial management, resulting in lack of sufficient retirement savings. ADHD comes with planning and consistency difficulties, which makes it hard to maintain regular saving habits, whether it's for emergency funds, retirement, or both. Having a hard time with long-term planning and projecting ourselves into the future when we were younger definitely increased inconsistency in our saving habits. Last but not least, and one of the biggest financial struggles of our generation, because ADHD makes it so hard to not have it spiral out of control, debt management. As a Gen X woman, maybe you find yourself approaching retirement age with significant debt, including credit card balances due to the need to cover living expenses and emergencies without sufficient savings. Many of us are still paying off mortgages or have refinanced our homes, which of course limits our ability to allocate funds to retirement savings. Student loans and other financial obligations such as car loans, personal loans, and other debt add to our financial burden. Do you see how everything from having been born a Gen Xer to discovering late in life you had ADHD is a huge game changer? So make sure you sign up for the free training. It's your first step to get or deepen your financial literacy. And no, it's not a finance training. It's a training specifically designed for ADHDers who want to become better at managing their money and change their financial reality. Click the link in the show notes to save your spot. If, as a Gen Xer, you feel that you're not that well prepared for retirement, a lot of reasons explain why we're at a time in our lives where we feel a sense of urgency because we didn't really plan ahead. It's definitely where I'm at right now. Debt burden and retirement savings shortfall help us understand the situation a lot of us find ourselves in, but economic and financial factors that were out of our control are also part of the equation. As Gen Xers, we experienced shaky economic times as children and young adults during the recessions of the 1970s, 80s, and 90s, and we've continued to be impacted by economic tumult throughout our adult lives. Just think of the Great Recession in 2008. It had a significant impact on Gen Xers, many of whom lost jobs, homes, and saw their retirement accounts drastically devalued. The COVID-19 pandemic affected all generations, but again, Gen Xers saw a more significant setback to their retirement funds than others and was likely to be the first generation whose members would not be more financially well off than their parents were. Other economic and financial factors include income stagnation and financial literacy. Lack of education levels among Gen Xers vary, with many lacking adequate knowledge about good money management skills and habits. Now that you have the full portrait, be compassionate with yourself. Give that Gen X girl, teen, and young woman some love as she did really the best she could. My second tip for you, and it's not one that our ADHD brain likes, but it will pay off if you do it, is assessing your current financial status. It's to stop ignoring what's staring you right in the face and look at your numbers. That includes income and expenses, money leaks, debt, interests you pay on loans and credit cards, all the fun stuff. Tracking all sources of income and expenses will help you in understanding your current financial situation and identifying areas where adjustments can be made. You can use ADHD-friendly budgeting apps such as You Need a Budget or Mint to help with categorizing and tracking expenses. Make an inventory of all debt with the interest rate charged for each one, including credit card, mortgages, personal loans, and any other liabilities. Do the exercise of going back at least 6 months to see how much you were charged in interest on your credit cards. What would you do with that extra money you'd get from a zero balance on your cards? Putting it toward retirement could be a wise choice, or maybe you'd start by building a financial safety net with an emergency fund. Now that you know how a late ADHD diagnosis in women affects their career and ability to manage their finances, how being a Gen X contributes to finding yourself in a financial situation that doesn't quite match your aspirations yet, don't you want to be that person who manages money like a champ, following your unique way of doing things? So make sure you sign up for the free training by clicking the link in the show notes. I sincerely hope that you got a lot of value from this episode. If you did, forward it to a friend or family member that you know needs this message. If, after listening to this episode, you feel the ADHD empowerment, let me know. Your stories and feedback fuel my passion. All right. That's a wrap for now. Sending lots of love your way. See you soon, and as always, remember that your ADHD brain is brilliant, not broken. I so appreciate you listening, and I'd love to hear from you. If this episode resonated with you, let me know what valuable insight you're taking away and how you can implement it right now. Don't hesitate to leave a review on your favorite platform and share on social media. Until next time on Phenomenally ADHD, own your genius because you rock just the way you are.